Bonjour, bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, nous allons faire un entretien avec Yoshi, qui est notre client depuis 2021. Il nous a contactés en mai dernier et ce qu'il avait besoin, Yoshi, c'était du DELF B1. Alors, il a préparé pour son examen du DELF B1 et aujourd'hui, il va nous en parler. Il va nous parler de son expérience à se préparer avec nous et surtout, il va parler un petit peu de l'examen pour que vous soyez un petit peu plus au courant de comment ça se passe exactement pour pouvoir vous aider. Alors, bonjour Yoshi, ça va bien aujourd'hui?
Bonjour Isabelle, je vais bien, merci à vous.
Très bien, merci beaucoup. C'est un grand plaisir de vous avoir avec nous cet après-midi. Est-ce que, Yoshi, vous pourriez vous présenter, s'il vous plaît, en français?
Oui, bien sûr, je m'appelle Yoshiyuki Oshima, je suis japonais, je viens du Tokyo, Japon. Et maintenant, j'habite à Genève, Suisse, et je travaille avec UNICEF de l'ONU, des Nations Unies. Je vis à Genève depuis 2011, même si j'ai temporairement déménagé à New York pendant un an en 2020. Et je parle japonais, c'est mon langue maternelle. Je parle anglais dans mon travail. Et aussi, je parle espagnol et aussi français maintenant.
Magnifique, vous êtes vraiment un polyglotte, vraiment multilingue.
Merci.
Vous aimez bien, si je comprends bien, vous aimez bien apprendre les langues étrangères, n'est-ce pas, Yoshi? Vous
Oui.
aimez bien, n'est-ce pas? Super. En tout cas, c'est un grand plaisir de vous avoir préparé à l'examen DELF B1. Et
Ouais.
si vous le voulez bien, on va aller vers l'anglais maintenant parce qu'il y a des apprenants qui ne comprennent pas encore assez bien le français. So we're going to switch to English, if it's okay
Yes.
with you, Yoshi. I know that you're so comfortable with many languages, French among others. We could do the interview in Spanish, but since we're talking about French,
I think
English will help.
English is okay, yes. Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
Japanese is not so good, so I will have to work on it. So can you tell me, Yoshi, why did you decide to pass the DELF B1 exam? Is it something that was mandatory for you or just something you wanted to do yourself?
It's actually something I wanted to do. And in fact, Isabel, I passed both B1 and then B2 after I started with Prêt.
So you're now at B2 level. That's
B2, yes.
wonderful.
B2,
Congratulations.
B1 last year and B2 this year, actually.
Year. Oh, yeah, that's true. Lovely.
And no, I studied by my own. I've been learning French quite some time, but I just didn't have any much sort of motivation actually to improve my French. And I just needed something concrete to achieve. Initially, as a United Nations official, there's a kind of a language exam within the UN system. And I tried that, but it's only once a year and it's quite tough. And but I think I just thought about the DELF, which is more recognized worldwide. And that's kind of more challenging to me than the exam within the UN system. So I decided to take the DELF. And I started initially when I started the Prêt, and then I started with the B1, studying B1, and then I gained quite a confidence thanks to the Prêt and my teacher, Laurence. So I moved on to B2 this year, and I passed it just a couple months ago.
Congratulations. I know that was in May, 24th of May. Is that correct?
Yes, it was May, yes.
So when you decided to give yourself you decided to prepare for the DELF as a motivation, as a challenge for you to keep your motivation high, knowing that you don't really need it, but it will help you to stay motivated. when you improve your French. That's such a great idea. That's what we recommend some of our clients to do, because it's hard to keep motivated, to stay motivated and to keep the motivation high when you know so many languages, and it's hard to keep it throughout the year. And especially with you, I saw that you took 60 lessons with us since last year. So over a little, over 1 year ago. What would you say has changed and improved since you started with us? Not only the B1 and B2, but apart from the preparation for the exam, would you say that something has improved and changed since you started with us?
I think my weakness in French has been listening and speaking. And I think that's kind of due to, I'm blaming a language education system in Japan, where I started learning French. And, in Japan, they focus more on translation and interpretation. They don't really focus on conversation. And that's not just French, but English or any other language that they teach in Japan. So when I came here and then I started to practice and utilize the French, I could read, but I really couldn't speak. And then also the listening was difficult. But after I started the Prêt, Parler and then this private lesson with Laurence, I really gained the confidence in speaking. And also after so many exercises of the listening comprehension, the questions, and then I think my listening also has improved quite a lot since then.
So would you say that before you learned French a little bit more by yourself and with the help of some videos, or you had some private lessons as well in the past, but for the oral skills and the speaking and the comprehension, that was something you really needed extra help with, and that's why you reached out?
Exactly, yes. I mean, apart from this B1, B2, I think, just by living here in Geneva, and also in my work as well, I really needed to improve my conversation, the speaking, and the listening skills in French. And I think that I couldn't get that when I was learning by myself, or even like in a class setting.
Yes.
But I think with this private lesson through this, with the Prêt, Parler, I think it really helped me to improve that speaking and listening skills in French.
How is your level of confidence now after a year of lessons with us?
We did quite significantly, maybe more than doubled, I would say. I think I was very hesitant to speak, and again, blaming the Japanese language system. I was told not to make mistakes, and so I think that's the kind of really bad part of teaching foreign languages in my country. But here with Laurence, virtually, whenever I made some mistakes, I mean, she really carefully corrected me, and it's not really like shaming me or anything like that. She really kind of encouraged rather me to speak more and use different expressions. So I think that really helped me a lot, and particularly in my confidence, particularly that really improved a lot, I think.
It helped you to dare to speak French and to not be afraid of making mistakes, and just putting yourself out there to express your voice, to put your voice out there, especially living in a French-speaking country, right?
That's correct. And I think it's also, Geneva is a very international city, as you know. So, many people speak English as well. So when I try to practice French on the street, I think, some they notice that my French is not really good, and they started to change to English rather than speaking to French. And so you know, that really, it didn't help me or didn't force myself to express myself in French. So I think the classes like this in the Prêt, Parler, I think it's really, in a way, it forces me to speak French, and that really increased the level of my confidence. To utilize again on the street, again in the hospital, to the barber shop, to, you know, in the day-to-day things in my life here. I mean, I can speak now French with much more confidence than before.
Yeah. And would you say that it increased your level of comfort and integration here in Switzerland now that you can
Definitely, yes. Definitely.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear this, because this is exactly why we are here. And you know, with the Prêt à Parler really means ready to talk. And that's what we have most at heart, to help our clients like you feel confident and comfortable to speak French. So I'm so delighted we got to that point, and not just for the DELF. I know we have to talk about the DELF, but I think this is so important to not just learn French for an exam, but have French integrated and inside you so you can use it for real in real life.
Yes, exactly. Now,
can you tell me, Yoshiyuki, how did you hear about Prêt à Parler? How did you come across our language school?
yes, I saw Prêt à Parler in a newsletter from Bike Club Geneva, which offers sort of a you know, like how do you call it? Sorry, the trial course, trial course, you know, just to, you know, kind of discount price, and then that's kind of and I noticed that in the Bike Club newsletter, and that time I really kind of was looking for language school where I could practice my French, so I decided to literally just to call up Prêt à Parler to register myself. And I think also it was very convenient for me, because I'm working every day, and even though, you know, I in that situation during the pandemic, so I was working at home, and so it's quite convenient for me to just stay at home and schedule and reschedule my language, you know, lesson, and I think it really suited my my needs, I think, at the time.
So you found a flexible solution that you needed for your French needs. I'm so glad to hear that. Yoshiyuki, we're going to go back to the FIDE, not the FIDE. I'm so used to talking about the FIDE, to the DELF exam, the DELF B1 and B2. Can you share with us one typical scenario question from your DELF exam, something that you felt was a little bit harder and that you felt prepared for and to answer because of the preparation with Prêt à Parler?
I think the section of the DELF that was really hard for me was the oral presentation part.
Yeah.
That where you are given a kind of a paragraph on a specific topic, and then you need to kind of summarize that and present it to the examiners, and then they also ask some questions about it. There's a kind of a specific sort of a ways to present that what you are given. And that part was really hard for me to in a way understand and try to adapt myself to that sort of specific ways of answering a presentation. And I think that was the hardest part, and I think that was also the part I think Laurence put more emphasis on in teaching.
The
Actually,
format of the answers, sometimes they're very specific whether it's with the FIDE exam that we have in Switzerland or the DELF, the examiner expects a certain format of answer. And if you don't fall into that format, then you can lose a lot of points. So that was helpful for you to prepare with Laurence, having her feedback and her guidance, right?
So something like you have to start with the subject and, problem and the source of the sort of a question, the literature that the question was taken from, and then you kind of make some examples to argue, the pros and cons about what it says in that paragraph, and then you have to come up with a conclusion with your own opinions, and so that kind of specific format that I had to go over and over again with Laurence, and I think that really helped me a lot. Yes.
So would you say that was the heart of your preparation with Laurence on this typical format of answer for the oral part and the comprehension part of the exam?
Right. I mean, it's not just the oral comprehension, actually. The way that Laurence taught me was very much in line with how I used to study a language exam in Japan. And in other words, in Japan, and also Laurence taught me she taught me what types of questions that they would ask and how you need to respond and how you need to answer to those specific questions. And for example, for the oral presentation, that there's specific format you need to follow. Listening comprehension, also there's certain specific sort of questions, and you need to kind of listen carefully to that part. I mean, you need to first read the questions, and then you need to prepare that. And for the written one, also you need to write the way that, for example, you need to write a letter to the mayor of a certain city, and that also you need to require how to, you need to know how to write the letter, and that in a way kind of really based on the past questions. And I think Laurence really took those past questions and taught me the kind of the tendency, or how you call it, the kind of the way that DELF asks you the questions. And then she also taught me, okay, so if you see this kind of question, then you need to answer this way. And I think that's a very, very effective way to tackle with the language examinations. And so it's not just about the pure language skills like speaking or listening or the vocabularies, but it's just the way that the questions are presented and how you need to respond to them. I think that's also another important part. And I think Laurence was very good at that. And I would appreciate her on that point, particularly.
That's a wonderful feedback. Thank you so much. I'm sure she will be delighted to hear that and to see your testimonial that you just made right now. Thank you so much, Yoshi. Can you tell me when and where did you pass your DELF exam, and what were the results, if you don't mind sharing?
The B1 was last year. I think it was, I'm sorry, I forgot, sometime around September or October, I think. And the B2 was in May this year. And both I took the exam in Geneva. And the B1, I think, was a little bit better. I think maybe 70% or 75%. B2, however, was a little bit disappointing. It was like 65 or 68%. So I'm thinking maybe I should take it again to just improve that.
You passed. I think with these exams, especially when you don't need them for work or as a diploma. For you, it was really as a motivator, a goal to pass and to have, because within a year you prepared for B1 and B2. Many people take a year just to prepare for one exam. So you pass two. These are big steps, one and B2. So I don't think the result matters. The percentage, the numbers don't matter, especially for you, because you don't have to show it to anyone. But it's the process, the journey that you've done from May last year, 2021, to now, to 2022. So do you feel that since you started preparing for the DELF, do you feel that the preparation has helped you not only for the exam itself, but the rest of your life as well?
Of course, yeah, certainly. I think it comes both in parallel. So as I prepared for the oral presentation to the listening comprehension, I mean, obviously my listening skills have improved, and then also my speaking, the spoken French also has improved a lot. So it really does have that kind of a double effect, if you will, the kind of as you study for the exam, and then your French really has improved, and then I can utilize it on the street or in my work, elsewhere. So for one side, the exam really is a kind of it's a benchmark, and it's a motivation to achieve, just to see my progress. But in a way, naturally, that kind of progress is already kind of proven on the street as I study more. So I think I would really suggest to aim at FIDE or DELF, and just to see how that study for the exam really has another effect on your day-to-day life in speaking French.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Yoshi. May I ask you, are you planning to stay in Switzerland in the long term, for a long-term basis?
Yes, given my work now, it seems like I would stay longer. So probably not, if not to improve my points at the B2, but maybe I'm looking at C1, but I know C1 it's extremely difficult. So I think it's going to be more challenging, but I'm actually looking at that too, if possible. Just
that's wonderful.
C1, if I
You
could
can do it. You've done B1, B2, you can do it. Maybe you'll need a year for C1 because it's a bit more challenging. I have to be honest, I've never seen anyone who wanted to do C2 yet. So maybe you will be the first one, who knows? But the other good news is that since you already have the DELF B1 and B2 certificate, if you apply for a permis C or the naturalization, then you won't need to do the FIDE because the DELF works for that. So that's always a good alternative.
Yes.
And you went for the hardest exam because FIDE is easier than DELF. So well done to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, I really appreciate assistance from Prêt, and then also Laurence. Just big thank you to her. I mean, she really has been an amazing teacher. I mean, she really, I think the way that she taught me really helped me pass those exams. So thanks to her, and thank you very much also, Isabelle.
Thank you so much, Yoshi. I'm so happy to hear that you felt supported for the French part, for the preparation of your exam, for the oral and developing your oral and speaking skills with your teacher, Laurence. Did you feel that you were also supported by the Prêt à Parler team when we were onboarding you with the customer service? Did you feel you had a positive experience from the beginning until the end of your contracts with us?
Yes, yeah. I was frequently in touch with Lovely in your office, and she's been very helpful. Whenever I have some questions about the number of lessons I'm left with, and renew my sort of contract with you, and she's been very helpful as well. And I mean, it's really it was been very, how can I put it? I mean, it's not, it's really easy and friendly way of learning French rather than just, going to the school and register myself and then attend the class and maybe, I mean, the people have some sort of a preference of learning, especially the languages. But for me, I think this online way of learning and also the services that Prêt, Parler provided, I think were really compatible or suitable for me. And it really helped me to get to this point, really. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We are so delighted we were able to help you reach your goal. And we'll be here if you want to continue and move on to the preparing for the DELF, because this time it's DALF, the DELF C1 and C2. And to finish, Yoshi, what would you like to tell other expats who are hesitating to take online private lessons with Prêt Parler, and maybe Japanese, fellow Japanese who are hesitating? Feel free to answer in English and Japanese as you want.
I was very hesitant also initially because, I had been learning languages in a classroom setting, or by myself by reading a book, or even if it's a private lesson and I go to school and I had a private lesson there. So I had some sort of a doubt or skepticism towards the way that online learning, could help also. But it really turned out to be a surprise to me that it really worked well. Primarily because I think with the online, you are really you can force yourself to speak with somebody that is virtually in front of me, and it really puts me into the situation where I don't know, it's just really different from the classroom setting. It really makes me more prepared, and it makes me more concentrated.
Because of the interaction, maybe.
I think it's because of the interaction through the display just right in front of me, and I think that's kind of more that kind of gives me a little bit more nervousness. Yeah, but rather that sort of that nervousness really forces me to speak something, and that's really different from the classroom setting. It's really different. And also, again, I think the rescheduling part, it's very flexible. So when I work like now, it's very much sort of I'm sort of in a humanitarian sector, so it's kind of difficult for me to go out and go to the school to learn. So online really has been very much convenient for me. If I have some sort of an urgent meeting, then I could reschedule. And it's really flexible for me to learn and improve my language skills. So I really do encourage my not just my compatriots, but for everybody to utilize that online system. And I think, after this pandemic, everybody really gets used to use, to communicate virtually. So why not using that virtual tool for your language skills? And I really do guarantee that it will really help. And any sort of a doubt that you may have for this online learning, I think that will go away once you start it.
Thank you so much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Je vous souhaite le meilleur pour la suite, Yoshi. Et puis, à bientôt pour le C1 alors.
OK. Merci. À bientôt et bonne journée. Merci, Isabelle.
Bonne journée à vous aussi et bonnes vacances d'été également.
À vous aussi. Merci.
Merci.
Merci.